Welcome to A News. I'm Leila Masimwa. Here are the headlines. Hamas frees hostages. Israel releases Palestinian prisoners on day one of Gaza ceasefire. Donald Trump draws thousands to pre-inauguration Washington rally. World Economic Forum identifies major risks facing the planet in 2025. The 42-day first stage of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas reached last Wednesday through mediation by Egypt, Qatar and the United States took effect on Sunday. Our correspondent Maria Rodriguez has the latest update from Jerusalem on major developments of the first day of ceasefire.
The ceasefire was supposed to go into effect at 8:30 a.m. local time on Sunday, but it was delayed until Hamas provided the list of hostages set for release. But finally, Emily, Doron and Romy, 3 hostages who fall under the humanitarian categories such as women, children, elderly or wounded, are back to Israel after 471 days in captivity. According to the deal, 33 hostages will be released in the first phase in exchange for the release of security prisoners, 30 Palestinian detainees for every civilian hostages, and 50 Palestinian detainees for every Israeli female soldier Hamas release are expected to leave the Israeli prisons in the coming days. However, Netanyahu had emphasized that they will be sent to the Gaza Strip or abroad and not to the West Bank. He also added that the Security Cabinet has decided to reinforce Israeli forces in the West Bank in order to protect their citizens. Also, humanitarian aid will be provided for the Gaza Strip, and hundreds of trucks already are inside, and the IDF withdrew from some areas. Since today, after 50 months of war, hundreds of Palestinians are returning back to the northern Gaza, checking if their homes are still in good conditions or in ruins, despite this fact was expected for the second stage of the deal. As a side effect, in this first ceasefire day, the National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, and members from his Ahmad Yehudi party submitted resignation letters from the government and coalition, as they had previously promised if the agreement was approved.
8 trucks have started moving into Gaza through Egypt's Rafah crossing after a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel came into effect on Sunday. This fragile agreement, critical for addressing the humanitarian crisis, offers a ray of hope amid the devastation caused by months of war.
Aid deliveries resumed on Sunday as part of the ceasefire agreement. The first trucks from the United Nations World Food Programme entered Gaza through the Kerem Shalom crossing without incident, overcoming challenges like destroyed roads, looting and security breakdowns. The agreement requires 600 truckloads of aid to be allowed into Gaza every day during the initial 6-week ceasefire, including 50 carrying fuel. The agency reported that half of these shipments are designated for northern Gaza, where the risk of famine is critical. During a visit to Khan Yunis, World Food Programme Country Director Antoine Renard expressed cautious optimism.
We have now goods coming. We can make sure that 1.1 million people that are on food crisis can get the right assistance, with the fact that now, no looting when we were coming from the crossing. We hope that in the next coming days, weeks, we will have the same security. Our staff will be safe. The population will be safe. They are able to go back to where they belong, and we will be able to serve them and follow them with what needs to be a long-lasting ceasefire.
Aid trucks are moving into Gaza through Egypt's Rafah crossing. Egyptian truck drivers involved in the operation expressed their determination to help Gaza's population. One of the drivers, Ahmed Sadiq, described the dire conditions faced by residents.
I swear I wish that every moment I could go to those inside Gaza to give them what they need. We wish that every minute that passes we could go to these people. Those people cannot find food, drink, medicine or shelter. All their houses have been hit by strikes. They have nothing left.
In Deir al-Balah, Palestinians welcomed the start of the ceasefire with cheers as long lines of trucks carrying fuel and aid queued at border crossings. This critical step has renewed hope for a resolution to the ongoing humanitarian crisis.
One day before his return to the White House, President-elect Donald Trump on Sunday made his victory lap at the Make America Great Again victory rally in Washington. Trump told thousands of supporters in Washington that he would bring a new era of prosperity in his second term. The event marked his first major address in the city since his January 6, 2021 speech preceding the Capitol riot. Despite cold and rain, supporters lined up for hours to see him. Earlier, Trump visited Arlington National Cemetery. The inauguration with 25,000 law enforcement personnel providing security will take place indoors due to cold weather, with Trump taking the oath at noon in the Capitol Rotunda. Donald Trump is set to begin his second term as President of the United States, marking a historic political comeback. As he takes the oath of the office on January 20, Trump will address the nation with a vision he claims will unite and inspire. Our next story delves into Trump's return to power, his policy priorities, and the controversies shaping his legacy.
Donald Trump will be sworn in as President of the United States on January 20th, marking the beginning of his second term in office and capping one of the most remarkable political comebacks in American history. The oath of office, likely to be administered by U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, will take place today on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. Following the swearing-in, Trump will deliver an inaugural address that he has described in interviews as intended to be uplifting and unifying. This tone contrasts with his first inaugural speech in 2017, which painted a stark picture of a broken nation he called American carnage.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
The outgoing president, Democrat Joe Biden, has confirmed that he plans to attend the ceremony to witness the peaceful transfer of power, a gesture of bipartisanship that Trump did not extend to Biden 4 years earlier. Thousands of spectators without tickets are expected to gather on the National Mall to watch the ceremony on large video screens. Notably, Trump has invited several foreign leaders to attend the inauguration, breaking with the historical precedent of having only diplomats present due to security concerns. During his first term in 2017 to 2021, Trump faced unprecedented legal and political challenges. He became the first former U.S. president to be indicted and convicted of a crime in May 2024 in New York City. Trump, who was also the first president to be impeached twice, has consistently denied any wrongdoing, framing the charges in 4 separate criminal cases as politically motivated. Throughout his campaign, he has vowed retribution against his perceived adversaries and frequently used dystopian rhetoric, referring to the enemy within the United States.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Trump, now the oldest U.S. presidential nominee, would become the second oldest president in American history if inaugurated. His campaign has faced security concerns, including 2 assassination attempts in 2024. One at a Pennsylvania rally in July, and another in September near one of his golf courses in Florida. Trump's policy proposals reflect his controversial style. On immigration, he has promised mass deportations, the end of birthright citizenship, and the expansion of the travel ban on individuals from specific countries. He has also pledged to reverse Biden's climate initiatives and expand oil and gas drilling on federal lands.
It's the largest, I always say the most massive, but it's the largest tax cut in the history of our country, and reform, but tax cut.
On foreign policy, Trump has vowed to overhaul U.S. relations with NATO and negotiate a resolution to the Ukraine war that could involve Kyiv ceding territory. He has called for Hamas to be crushed and promised a tougher stance on Iran, though his specific proposals remain vague. Domestically, Trump credits himself for the US Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade and has emphasized that abortion laws should be determined by individual states. He has stated he does not support banning birth control. On economic issues, Trump plans to impose broad tariffs on imports, eliminate taxes on tips and overtime, reduce corporate tax rates, and open federal lands to foreign investment. He has also promised sweeping tax reforms, which he described as the largest tax cut in US history. Trump's rhetoric and actions continue to draw both staunch support and sharp criticism, setting the stage for a contentious second term as he seeks to further reshape the United States domestically and on the global stage.
If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal.
As global conflicts intensify, US President-elect Donald Trump is outlining his approach to handling international crises during his second term. From the war in Ukraine to tensions in the Middle East, Trump promises a unique strategy focused on peace through strengths. But how would his strategies affect these unstable regions? Let's take a closer look.
Donald Trump has made it clear. His foreign policy will centre on reducing US involvement in endless wars, while asserting American dominance on the world stage. He claims his experience as a deal maker will help him bring peace to some of the world's most complex conflicts. On the war in Ukraine, Trump has promised to broker a peace deal within 24 hours of taking office, though he has not offered specifics on how he would achieve such a rapid resolution. Critics question whether his close relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin could influence his approach, potentially at the expense of Ukraine's sovereignty. Trump has also hinted at reassessing US military aid to Ukraine, suggesting that European allies should bear a greater share of the burden. This stance echoes his first-term policy of pressuring NATO members to increase defense spending. In the Middle East, Trump plans to build on the Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between Israel and several Arab nations during his first term. He argues that these agreements lay the groundwork for a broader peace strategy, including a potential resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. However, tensions in Gaza and the West Bank pose significant challenges. Meanwhile, Trump has vowed to adopt a harder stance on Iran, calling for tougher sanctions and even hinting at military action if Tehran moves closer to developing nuclear weapons. This marks a stark contrast to the Biden administration's efforts to revive the Iran nuclear deal. Trump's promises on global conflicts highlight a blend of bold rhetoric and controversial strategies. While his supporters praise his America First approach, opponents warn that it could alienate allies and escalate tensions.
Beijing residents are voicing their concerns over Donald Trump's upcoming second term as US president. Worries that his tough trade policies could exacerbate China's economic challenges. With uncertainty looming, many hope for stability amid strained US-China relations.
Economic concerns are widespread among Chinese residents as they brace for Donald Trump's second presidency. His confrontational trade policies, compounded by an already fragile economic situation, raise fears that ordinary citizens will face even greater financial pressures. People from various sectors, including finance and tourism, are closely watching how these policies may impact both their personal and professional lives. From a personal perspective, what I can see is that China's economy is not very good at the moment due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Trump himself is a crazy, wild person. After he takes office, we are wondering how China's economic situation will change. Will it improve or get worse? For ordinary people like us, we just hope the economy keeps getting better. It's been hard to make money these past years, and the pressure remains high.
We are likely to pay more attention to foreign exchange rates and how they affect how we manage our money and wealth. Many bank experts suggest buying US dollars long term. From a national perspective, we don't want US sanctions on China, because China still needs time to develop its own patience and technology. We hope China continues to develop and get better.
During Trump's previous term, escalating trade tensions led to disruptions in industries and global supply chains. The memories of those impacts remain vivid for residents like Liu Huibo.
It's definitely worrying. China's economic environment is already bad. If the trade war continues, it will not be good for us, ordinary people.
Donald Trump begins his second term with significant political momentum, following one of the most remarkable comebacks in U.S. history. As part of his strategy, the U.S. president has made clear his intent to impose tougher trade measures, including a 10% tariff on Chinese goods, unless China takes stronger steps to curb fentanyl trafficking. Trump even threatened tariffs exceeding 60% on Chinese imports, a move that could dramatically reshape global trade dynamics. The U.S. president has also expressed optimism about the relationship with China, revealing that he and President Xi Jinping have communicated through representatives. This indicates that, despite the looming trade challenges, there could still be opportunities for diplomatic engagement moving forward.
Fires broke out in a migrant camp in northern Mexico as a group of refugees tried to avoid arrest during a night operation by government forces to clear the site.
Migrants in Mexico's northern city of Chihuahua set fire to their blankets and mattresses in an attempt to avoid a raid by government forces. About 250 Mexican officials, including National Guard military police in anti-riot gear, surrounded the encampment at midnight. A migration official says the goal of the operation was to bring the migrants to Mexico's southern border, where they would be told to return to their home countries. The migrants tried to slip out carrying babies and their belongings.
The police arrived with the migration. We got to the shelter today. Unfortunately, all this is happening. We don't know what is happening and we are disoriented. We are here. We are scared.
The National Guard, Immigration and Police arrived.
They came to us like at
Practically midnight.
At 12:30, midnight, they came to us.
And they surrounded the camp and places where we were at. They asked to simply talk, that they were going to do an inspection and all of that.
Supposedly, they were gonna check the children.
Tell me, is it logical to come with this whole police and military force, supposedly to do an inspection at a camp, when they could do it during the day? Days ago, the police came and did a census.
Hey, they're coming. They're coming.
This enforcement action near the United States border comes as U.S. President-elect Donald Trump is set to be inaugurated on Monday. He's accused Mexico's government of not doing enough to curb migration into the United States and threatened sweeping tariffs. Though it is not clear how many people were detained, no deaths or injuries were reported in the blaze, which was extinguished in under an hour.
The World Economic Forum has released a global risks report which lists 2025's highest risks. This comes as the annual gathering by the forum is set to kick off on Monday.
A World Economic Forum survey shows that armed conflict is the top risk in 2025, a reminder of the deepening global fragmentation as governments and business leaders attend the annual World Economic Forum in Davos. Nearly 1 in 4 of the more than 900 experts surveyed across academia, business, and policymaking ranked conflict, including wars and terrorism, as the most severe risk to economic growth for the year ahead. A global risk is defined by the survey as a condition that would negatively affect a significant portion of the global GDP, population, or natural resources. Extreme weather, the number one concern of 2024, was the second-ranked danger. Over a 10-year horizon, environmental threats dominated experts' risk concerns, the survey showed. Global temperatures last year exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial era for the first time, bringing the world closer to breaching the pledge governments made under the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. Geo-economic confrontation, which includes sanctions and tariffs, ranked third on the list. The World Economic Forum meeting is set to kick off on January 20, and Donald Trump, who would be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States, will address the meeting virtually on January 23rd. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky will attend the meeting and is expected to give a speech. Advisors to Trump concede that the Ukraine war will take months or even longer to resolve, a sharp reality check on his pledge to strike a peace deal on his first day in the White House. Topics on the agenda span mounting geopolitical and economic uncertainty, trade tensions, climate goals, and artificial intelligence. However, focus will be placed on Syria, the humanitarian situation in Gaza, and the political escalation of the conflict in the Middle East. As global leaders discuss the findings in the survey, they're expected to explore ways on how to prepare for an increasingly volatile global landscape.
Today marks 35 years since the tragic events of January 20, 1990. In Azerbaijan, known as Black January, on the night of January 19th at 11:30 p.m., Soviet troops entered Baku, then part of the Soviet Union, to suppress the growing independence movement. In the brutal crackdowns that followed, 147 civilians lost their lives. Since early morning, people come to the Alley of Martyrs in Baku to honor the victims of Black January. Our Orkan Amashev reports from the scene.
Today, Azerbaijanis all over the world, not just in Azerbaijan, in major Azerbaijani cities, are commemorating the 35th anniversary of what went down in the annals of history as Black January. And a few moments ago, we had a moment of silence with cars and the trains and ships echoing sirens and the traffic coming to a standstill. And of course, the epicenter of commemoration is Alley of Martyrs. So 35 years ago, 26,000 Soviet troops entered Baku and other cities of Azerbaijan with the purpose of organizing a crackdown on the movement of independence, during the course of which 147 civilians were brutally killed. And of course, bearing in mind the circumstances, the proper international legal evaluation of what happened in 1990 has never been made, but Azerbaijani government's subsequent position was in the direction of this being described as a crime against humanity. And of course, this day signifies and exemplifies for Azerbaijanis tragedy, and also, of course, resilience. In a very fine melange, we here see concentrated tragedy, the massacre and atrocity, but also what happened on the 20th of January 35 years ago paved the way for the liberation and rebirth of Azerbaijani nation and Azerbaijani status. And today, the members of the public from all walks of life, members of the government, ordinary members of the public, have been visiting the Alley of Martyrs, paying their tribute to those people who sacrificed their life in order for Azerbaijan to be an independent nation state. And of course, we have to understand that what happened on the 20th of January 1990 was the most extensive brutality committed in the late 80s and early 90s by the Soviet government against the Soviet Republic. There were other developments taking place in Georgia, in the Baltic countries as well. And of course, we have to understand the developments in the context of some other uprisings that took place in Eastern European countries, in Hungary and what was then Czechoslovakia. And many observers and historians believe that what happened on the 20th of January also revealed the fundamental weakness of the ailing Soviet rule, leading to its ultimate collapse.
BP Azerbaijan has restarted production at Shah Deniz Alpha facility after resolving technical issues that previously halted operations. The shutdown had significant ripple effects, cutting off supplies of Azerbaijani gas to Bulgaria and Serbia.
BP Azerbaijan has resumed production at the Shah Deniz Alpha facility after resolving technical issues that had halted operations earlier this month. In an exclusive statement to A News, BP's area production manager for Shah Deniz, James Dunbar, confirmed the restart and emphasized that all technical challenges have been addressed.
BP, as the operator of the Shah Deniz gas condensate field, are pleased to report that we have been able to restart production from our Shah Deniz Alpha facility. The technical issue that was observed with the gas condensate export pipeline has now been fully and safely resolved. We look forward to continuing our ramp up and return to full production over the next few days. We'll continue to work with SOCAR and our government partners and the rest of the partners over this period as we look forward to restoring full production.
The disruption had ripple effects across Europe. Earlier, Azerbaijan has temporarily suspended its contracted natural gas supply to Bulgaria and Serbia. The interruption stemmed from a technical issue at BP's Alpha platform in the Shah Deniz gas field. BP Azerbaijan confirmed the shutdown of operations, citing problems in the underwater condensate pipeline connecting the Alpha platform to the Sangachal terminal, and stated that all necessary work is underway to restore the operations at the Alpha platform. During the outage, Bulgaria relied on alternative gas supplies from Turkey's Botas, preventing market disruptions or additional costs. The Shah Deniz gas field is a critical hub for Europe's energy supply, and its operations are now fully restored, reinforcing its role in the regional network.
The production prototype of Baykar's Byar Zarkazma, Turkey's first unmanned fighter jet, successfully passed another flight test. The development of this indigenous aircraft is progressing according to the established test timeline. Baykar is rapidly developing Turkey's first unmanned fighter jet, the Byar Zarkazma. The production prototype has seen significant improvements, including structural enhancements and upgraded avionics. It now features a more powerful afterburner engine, bringing it closer to the speed of sound for better maneuverability. With an AECA radar for high situational awareness, the Byar Zarkazma is capable of handling complex missions. That's all for now, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to IE News for more exclusive updates. We'll be back soon.